NP Materials, ticker symbol MP, is the leading rare earth mineral producer outside of China, has released its Q2 2025 earnings report. The earnings were released on August 7th, pretty much last Thursday after the market closed, and the stock went up by 5% one trading day later, showing a positive reaction to the report. The company posted a record NdPr production, which is a type of light rare earth mineral, of 597 metric ton, up to 119% increase year over year. This signals the company's shift away from shipping concentrates to China for China to process and towards a fully in-house operation, meaning that it's moving from a upstream mining company towards a midstream production company as well, focusing on processing and refining its own minerals into usable materials. The revenue of the company rose 84% year over year from the same quarter last year, while the adjusted EPS is minus $0.13 per share, which is better than expected, minus $0.19 per share, and it's a 24% improvement compared to a year ago. While the earnings report appears to be strong at the first glance, right, it's a lot of growth for the revenue. However, the investor needs to be cautious because here I'm showing you a 5-year quarterly result chart. Despite the 84% year-over-year revenue increase, which is the blue line, each blue line represents a quarter. If you look compared to the previous quarters, it's actually in a downtrend for the blue revenue, right? So the last year, same quarter, the revenue was very low. Have a very easy comparison. And also on the chart, the net income, right? Net income is in yellow. It's pretty negative compared to the previous quarters. So the market's strong reaction is driven less by the earnings numbers, but more by the optimistic tone set out by the earnings call. The CEO highlighted a front row seat and important role in what may well become the most significant business transformation of our generation. He is calling rare earth mineral the era of physical AI, and emphasized that we are the only company in the world, including China, that has all aspects of this business. So maybe he's talking about robotics, right? Because right now AI is all software, but eventually we'll move towards a physical robotics, AI, robotics driven by AI, but to be able to build those equipment, those physical robotics, rare earth mineral is very important, right? To build stuff like motors and stuff. He also said, we are the only company in the world, including China, that has all aspects of this business. So what he said here can be a little bit misleading, right? While China dominates the rare earth mineral sector and has full domestic supply chain, every step of the supply chain can be done within China. But what the CEO is saying here is that the Chinese have different companies focusing on different steps of the supply chain. Some specialize on mining, some on refining, some are separation, some focus on magnet production or downstream product. But NP Materials is a vertically integrated company that can do every step within the same company, because it's essentially the only company in America that does rare earth. So it doesn't necessarily mean that NP Materials is ahead of China. It's actually very behind Chinese competitors at the moment. So in the outlook and guidance section of the earnings call, NP Materials projected a 10 to 20% increase in NdPr oxide production in Q3, so next quarter compared to this quarter. But this quarter compared to the year before, we saw a 120% year-over-year increase. So 10 to 20% increase next quarter doesn't seem very impressive at all. During the earnings call, the CEO also re-emphasized the two previous announced positive news. Number one is that Department of Defense signed a deal with the company to provide $400 million in investment plus a $150 million loan. And the $150 million loan is for heavy rare earth mineral separation capabilities. And also provide a price floor of $110 per kilogram for NdPr magnet, which is the light rare earth mineral. So $110 per kilogram is actually twice the price level of the current Chinese market price. And this is a 10-year term contract. So government will provide the price floor for 10 years, beginning 2 quarters from today, right? Q4 of 2025. Number 2, a 500 million contract magnet purchase from Apple will happen starting in 2027. So Apple will be buying magnets from them since beginning 2027 up to $500 million. Number 3, the company is now called a public-private partnership because now the Department of Defense is the largest shareholder of the company. In the meanwhile, the company is still listed in the stock market for private investors to purchase, to invest. Another factor fueling the bullish sentiment is NP Materials' announcement of planned expansion with a new magnet production site. It's the 10 times facility. And right now, the existing facility that produced the light rare earth magnet is called Independence in Texas. It currently produces 1,000 tons per year. And the company is planning to expand the capacity of this facility to allow it to produce 2,000 tons per year more. And the 10-time facility that was mentioned earlier, once that finishes construction and put into production, is going to be able to produce 7,000 metric ton per year of rare earth. So in total, it's going to produce 10,000 metric ton of rare earth minerals per year, which is 10 times the current capacity of 1,000 metric ton per year. The 10-time facility is still in the planning and financing stage, with NP Materials expecting operations to begin in 2028. So hopefully the company will be able to reach the 10,000 metric ton capacity by that time. Assuming the annual magnet production does reach 10,000 metric ton per year, with the $110 per kilogram price floor, NP Materials is projecting a total EBITDA of $650 million. A portion of this is shown in orange, will be returned to Department of Defense as part of the contract for profit sharing, because the government invested in your expansion, they are going to get some back if the company does end up start to make a lot of money. So overall, I think the quarterly earnings themselves are mediocre. The numbers are mediocre, as very little has changed operationally, right? And for these type of things to materialize, it takes a long time. You have to build a factory, hire people, train people. It's a multi-year thing, right? So most of the good news and the major contracts are long-term. This is a long-term play. The recent stock enthusiasm are driven largely by this future potential. So during the trade war, China has demonstrated how the rare earth mineral is a potential choke point for U.S. While China is catching up on AI, semiconductors, EV, it's very important for the U.S. However, rare earth mineral is actually the most important thing for the national security, because when China started doing the export control, some of the American production line has to be shut down, especially some military equipment rely on a lot of rare earth mineral. Right? So the urgency is high. The government felt the pressure, and the government should be providing more funding and deals for companies like NP Materials in the future to have a secure rare earth mineral supply chain within the country. So this deal, the current deal between NP Materials and Defense and Department of Defense, focuses on light rare earth minerals. However, the heavy rare earth minerals is far more vulnerable for U.S. There are multiple non-Chinese sources exist that produce light rare earth mineral. However, the heavy rare earth mineral remain almost entirely dependent on China. A lot of the steps on the supply chain can only be done by China. Okay? Right now, the only large-scale commercial separator outside of China is an Australian company called Lynas. This company has a plant in Malaysia that just begun operation in May 2025. The facility can separate heavy rare earth into oxide, and that's just step number 2 in the supply chain, right? The downstream steps, including like metallization, converting that into magnets, and blah blah blah, all those stuff can only be done by the Chinese companies at the moment. So given the fragility, it's likely that Department of Defense will provide further support for various rare earth minerals, for various heavy rare earth minerals in the future, such as also providing a price floor. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe.